What's up, everybody? My name is Sean. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be building stuff with UNISTRUT. And if you haven't heard of UNISTRUT, let me tell you, I'm like one of those guys that's going to show up to your house at 8 in the morning on a Saturday. Let me tell you about the wonders of UNISTRUT. You can use it to build anything. You can use it for plumbing. You can use it for HVAC. You can use it to put an entire solar array on your roof if you want. Or you can do what we've done and make a table out of it. We use the UNISTRUT system in a totally unconventional way that you can't find anywhere else on YouTube. And after you learn the tips and tricks and everything that you can know about UNISTRUT from this video, we want to see what you have been able to make with it. Tag us in your pictures, tag us in your videos, show the world. I know what you're thinking to yourself. I could just use wood to make a table. Boring! Learn from this video the tips and the tricks that you can use with UNISTRUT, and you can build anything. A table, sure, but you can build that solar array on top of your house if you want to, learning this stuff right here. On top of all of that, the results are custom. So our build is exactly what we needed, and your build can be exactly what you needed. Watch to the end so you don't miss any of the tips and any of the tricks that you can use to build your project and share with the people that have a need to build in your life. Here are some of the tools you're going to want to have on hand when working with UNISTRUT. Tool number 1, speed square. If you want to build anything and have it, not fall over, not have the stuff that you put on top of it fall on your lap, or like fall off your roof, or wherever you're building your stuff, this is one of the most important tools to have. Square. Square. Tool number 2, not boring, kind of boring, always good to have. Have a couple of them in hand, have one in your car, have one in your pocket, have one at your workshop, have one in your house, whatever. You always want to have one of these on hand. Measuring tape, measure twice, cut once. We've all heard that one. Well, I've got 2 measuring tapes right here and I'm going to measure twice with them. Tool number 3, clamps. It's like a second set of hands. You already got 2. What's wrong with 2 more? Enough said. Now on to the best stuff. The stuff that everyone wants to know about. The stuff with electricity. Impact wrench. When you're working with UNISTRUT, there's a lot of nuts, there's a lot of bolts, and you really don't want to be in there with one wrench doing it by hand. You're going to be there all week long. So get yourself a good impact wrench. Put it to good use. Tool number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hammer drill, baby. You're gonna want one of these for drilling into your UNISTRUT, for putting on any kind of feet, any kind of casters, and where you're gonna have your bolts along the UNISTRUT. Very important. Make sure you also have some oil so you don't ruin your bits. Tool number 6, and this is just for our project because we're working with some wood. That's our worm drive skill saw. You can find out all about this skill saw in a couple of other videos, maybe right here, maybe right here, maybe right here. Now that we have all of our tools assembled, let's get down to business.
When cutting UNISTRUT, you're going to want to use a metal cutoff saw. In this video we use the DeWalt, but we're also a big fan of the skill saw. Once you have your metal cutoff saw set up and ready to go, you can start making your cuts. Make sure to double check all your measurements before starting to cut. Be sure to have your safety gloves and goggles on when cutting metal. Now that your pieces are cut, we can begin assembling the side bracing. Now our pieces are starting the process of assembly. It never hurts to double check as you go so that you don't have to troubleshoot and solve problems later on in the build that could have been avoided. This is a great time to pull out one of the most important tools in any trade, the square. A speed square, also commonly known as a rafter square or a triangle square, is a carpenter's marking out tool that combines common functions of a combination square, a tri-square, and a framing square into one. Builders of all kinds use it to make measurements and mark lines on dimensional lumber, as well as a saw guide for short 45 and 90-degree cuts. Sometimes you'll be building something that requires room for another piece of the construction happening later in the project. You can always measure the piece and make some marks on your in-progress pieces, or if possible, you can assemble the pieces you need to make room for so you can get a more exact design. This is what Vince and Mikey are doing here with the bottom part of the desk while finishing the side bracing. Tips and tricks like this one are going to be what save you the most time on jobs as you progress as a builder and learn more about what you are doing. Now that the first side brace is complete, It's time to repeat the process with the second side brace. Again, make sure to double check your measurements and use a square to make sure that all of your components are properly attached. When drilling through metal, it's important to use oil. You can find out more about that at this video here. Make a witness mark or dimple to prevent the drill from wandering at the start of the drilling. Keep your drill in the lowest speed to prevent the metal from heating up and dulling your bit. The harder the metal, the slower the speed. As we mentioned before, make sure to use your clamps to secure your pieces together. Using clamps to secure your pieces together ensures that when you are drilling, none of your pieces are going to go flying all over the place. At each step in the build, make sure to check your build against other components as you go, like the feet fitting into the side bracing correctly before moving on to the next part. Checking your work as you go ensures that you don't spend time later on troubleshooting and solving an avoidable problem. Again, use clamps to securely hold down your workpiece. And use oil to reduce friction and heat buildup, which makes drilling easier and your bits last longer. Now that the side braces are assembled, it's time to attach the top beam of the table. This will be what our tabletop rests on and attaches to. Use the same techniques with this part of the assembly that you did with the previous step. Use your speed square to make sure that your table is square. We want our table to be square, so what you're going to want to do is pull out your speed square and continually check each step of the assembly. After all, you don't want your lunch falling in your lap while you're working at your future table. Again, at each step in the assembly, use your speed square to double check that your parts are square before making final adjustments. Now it's time to attach the feet and caster wheels to the bottom of the table. We cut excess material from the feet to keep the feet flush with the rest of the table's profile. When using an angle grinder, make sure to wear safety glasses so you don't accidentally get sparks or metal in your eyes. Apply the tool with light pressure when cutting or grinding. Let the tool do the work for you. If you hold the grinder to the object, the rotation will cut or grind for you. If you press down too hard, you could cause the tool to yank on the piece you're working on, which in turn could make the tool kick, which could lead to injuries. Just like with the UNISTRUT, use oil when drilling the holes into the feet. When the feet are ready, attach the caster wheels with bolts, using washers where necessary. Once the wheels have been screwed on, you can remove excess bolt with the grinder. To tighten the bolts all the way, get a friend with a wrench to hold the bolt in place, and then tighten the nut from the other side. This is necessary to keep the bolt from spinning in place while you try and tighten the nut. Flip your table and check how well it rolls around. Now that our table's skeleton is complete, it's time to construct the tabletop. For our tabletop, we cut and glued multiple smaller pieces together. Use your square and measuring tape to mark down your dimensions, and then pull out your chalk line to give yourself a cutting guide along the material. For these cuts, Vince used the true HVL cordless worm drive saw from Skillsaw. You can find out more about these saws in these videos here. When starting with your tabletop material, check your measurements and which parts of the wood you're cutting so that you get the most out of your larger piece. Doing this with any large material will save you time and money on a project. Now that our pieces are cut, we need to glue and clamp them together. When gluing material, make sure to coat pieces evenly and don't let too much glue build up close to the edges, as the glue will spread outward when it's clamped down. When your glue is finished curing, pull out a sander and smooth down the edges. This will help the veneer glue evenly to the sides of the desk. Grab your veneer material and clamp it down to the tabletop. The best way to get the perfect fit for this piece is to use your tabletop as the measure. Just like with the tape measure before, take the time to make sure your veneer is lined up perfectly with the tabletop before making your cuts so you don't waste time or material. Repeat this process with the rest of your surfaces, using clamps and pencils to mark all of your pieces correctly. We chose to laminate the top, which is an entire video of its own. For complete instructions on how to laminate a countertop, check out this video here. And there you have it, our finished product. You can, of course, make any kind of table of any design that you'd like. You can find many on the internet by simply Googling them. This was just the one that we decided to use. But you can use the tips and tricks that you've learned in this video on your own builds, any builds. And you can catch me behind this desk live every Friday on Tool Test Raw. If you want to keep adding to your toolbox of tips and tricks, hit that like button and subscribe to us, VCG Construction. Until we build again.
Video's over, but I know you want more. So this is how you're going to get it. First thing you need to do is pretend you're this guy. And you're here at the birthplace of freedom. Now ring that bell like it's 1776 and let all notifications through. What? You're not subscribed yet? Well, smash this button here. After that, watch this video here, and maybe over here. See you later.